Hi guys, I'm Valerie Burba. I'm one of the instructors here at Gordon Hairdressing Academy. And today I'm going to be going over the single process color retouch. And you get 10 minutes to complete this application. I am looking off of the PSI. This is going to be page 17 on your PSI. If you don't have your candidate bulletin, what you can do is you can pull up your paper one that maybe you've received in class, or you can just get out your phone, Google Barber, Texas PSI, and you'll have the whole candidate bulletin. Whenever you look at it, it's just gonna be a PDF, and the first page will look like this. And so that's gonna be the candidate bulletin. And then again, it's gonna be page 17. Just gonna scroll down there really quickly. And I also wrote the procedures here on the board. But if you can't see it very well because we are just filming from the school today, then go ahead and pull that up. So the segment, you'll have 10 minutes to complete this. Everything counts for 1 point. So for instance, we'll have 2 criteria. So the first criteria is going to be the procedure criteria, and the second one is going to be your safety precautions. So the first thing we're going to go over is just the safety precaution, or I'm sorry, the procedure criteria. So the first thing you're going to do is perform a strand test. That can be done on any part of the head. Basically what you're trying to do is, if this was a real client and you were really doing color or a high lift product like lightener or something like that, what you're trying to do is see what it's going to do to the hair. We're going to see like maybe what kind of buildup that client has in terms of how light they're going to get, how bright the color is going to look, things like that. So when you do a strand test on a client, you really want to use the back of the head area, someplace it's going to be easily hidden, so that the client, if they don't love the end result, we can always cover it up with another color or something like that, but it'll be hidden out of the way so they won't have to see it. Also, a patch test, that's just going to see if there's any allergic reaction with the products we use. We've had several clients that, have different reactions to different professional brands that are out there. We've recently had a client that's allergic to bees, and so we can't use TG lightener on her because it has beeswax in it. So just things like that, it's good to kind of do like a preliminary patch test to make sure that you're not coming up with something midway through the application and you're gonna have to rinse it off and then their hair is just a mess and there's no way to fix it because they're allergic to the product. So it's good to figure that out with all new clients. The textbooks say 48 hours in advance, but you'll know if someone has allergic reaction within minutes. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna apply what part of the product that you're using, and you can apply it just behind the ear on your mannequin. That's where I'm gonna apply it. So with the gel we're using, you can just put a little bit behind the ear, and then that's sufficient enough. You're not gonna have to pause and wait for it to react, because obviously it's not going to, because it's a mannequin. So you're just gonna apply it, and that's sufficient for this part of the program. So after you're gonna do that, then you're gonna apply the color product. You only have to do it to 4 subsections. And it doesn't matter what section you wanna work with. If you wanna work in the back, if you wanna work in the front, it doesn't matter. I'm actually gonna be working in this back section because I feel like it'll be smaller and a little bit easier to show those 4 sections. But again, it's totally up to you. You can do any other sections you'd like. I'm gonna be working with 1/4 inch subsections. If you're not sure what that looks like, 1/4 inch is gonna be about the thickness of a rat tail comb, like the spine of the comb. That's how thick 1/4 inch will be. So they can just all be pretty uniform in the same length. On your candidate bulletin, it doesn't specify how large PSI wants to see that, but that's what I would do. And you also wanna make sure you can clearly see through the 4 sections. So I'll kind of show you guys how whenever we apply that, we're gonna make sure that we bend it over our comb so that you can see those sections, okay? And then ensure that there's no chemical product left on the skin. So obviously that's not gonna include the patch test that we did earlier. It's gonna be like if you made a mess somewhere else, okay? The next thing is gonna be the safety criteria. We wanna make sure we're properly disposing of waste materials, ensure workstation and area remain sanitary, ensure draping is maintained throughout the service. replace contaminated items, kit remains sanitary. And really what that means with the kit remains sanitary is that you keep your kit closed. So it's really easy to want to like unzip your bag, like I have my bag unzipped right now, and then just leave it like this. But if you don't go back and actually physically zip it back up, that's a point that you miss. And honestly, that's kind of a nonsense point to miss, because just make sure you're zipping everything back up. And then avoid cross-contamination, okay? You are gonna be using gloves for this, but let's say I touch my face. And in that case, what I would need to do is go ahead and remove my gloves, throw them away, sanitize my hands, and put a new pair of gloves on, okay? You don't wanna cross-contaminate in any way. And I'm definitely a face toucher, a hair toucher, so if I was taking this exam for state board, I would probably bring a few extra pairs of gloves just in case. That way it's an easy fix if you do something like that, okay? So that's kind of all the safety precautions that you have to do for this exam. Again, anytime you start a new exam or end an exam, what you're gonna be doing is each segment, you want to make sure you're sanitizing everything before you begin. So washing everything, your countertops with disinfectant, sanitizing your hands, and then starting the application. And then at the end of the exam, before you raise your hand to indicate to the proctor that you're ready to go, you need to make sure you sanitize everything again, and then raise your hand, okay? So I'm gonna kind of mock this a little bit. I'm primarily just gonna be showing you the application and things like that, and then I'll say the steps that maybe I miss. So I have my bag. In my bag, again, I have a few pairs of gloves, my drape and all that stuff. You would have done this, they give you 10 minutes prior to do all this. So if I've already done that right now, my mannequin is draped. And again, for this application, it is gonna be towel, cape, towel. So you'll literally just put a towel over your mannequin, a cape, and then a towel, okay, for a chemical application. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with that patch test. That strand test. I'm going to just do it in this front quadrant because I'm not going to be using this one. So what you guys can do is just take a small section. I'm just going to be taking a section in between the radial, this section here, and I'm just going to apply it. And we're just going to apply the product as if we're just doing a little strand test, okay? So my brush and then my product. It's in a Tipperary container with a lid. So whenever I'm done with this, I can just put the lid back on and put it in my trash or laundry bag, whatever you guys have off to the side. So I'm just gonna apply this, and you can apply it roots to ends, and then that would be your strand test, okay? And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna apply a little bit of that product just right behind the mannequin's ear to see if there would be any kind of reaction to that, okay? And then that's all they're wanting to see. And then we'll begin the actual application. I'm gonna be taking 1/4 inch subsections, just right here in the back. I'm gonna actually move this so we can see it a little bit better. So there's my 1/4 inch subsection. Again, it's gonna be about the width of the spine of the comb. That's gonna be about 1/4 inch. And then I'm just gonna apply my product from the roots to the ends. And they are wanting to see really good saturation. So no dry spots. It's a little bit hard on a mannequin with using gel to make sure it's super saturated, but just it needs to look wet is really what you're looking for. Then what you can do is you can take your end part of your brush and just kind of bring it over so that you're adding like a little bit of a buffer between the next section. And then you're again taking the same size. And you have 10 minutes to do this, which honestly is like plenty of time to work with this because it's only the 4 subsections. So that's really good. But if you feel like you're running out of time for whatever reason, which you really shouldn't, because like I said, 10 minutes is a really long time just to do 4. You lose all your points if you don't finish segments in its time frame. So the best advice is if you're on any part of the PSI and you see that you're running out of time, go ahead and just finish it best you can. You would rather miss maybe 2 or 3 points versus the entire segment of 17 or 13 points. So that's the best bet. But this one's a pretty simple one. I don't see how anyone would be able to, you definitely should be able to finish in the time allowed. That's plenty of time to do that. So maybe if you have to use the restroom, this is the segment to use the restroom in. So I'm just applying that product all the way down, making sure it's well saturated. And then that last section I have right here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go back through and kind of fold it over my comb like that, so I can create a little bit of buffer in between so that you can clearly see how big my subsections were and how many I have, because it specifically says 4, so you wanna make sure that the examiner can see all 4 of your subsections. So I'm just going back through and kind of folding it over so it's really visible to see the subsections that I've done. And that's really all you have to do with this segment, just the 4, and then that's it. So after you're completed, what you'll do is you'll go through, take your gloves off, put everything back in your trash, throw it away, disinfect everything, hand sanitize, and then raise your hand. And then the proctor will come by, check what you did, and then once everyone else has completed, or if you were lucky enough to be in a classroom by yourself like I was when I took my state board, then you can just move on to the next segment when you're told to do so. So that is the single process color retouch, and again, it was 10 minutes. So thanks for watching and good luck to you.